Hey guys, Micah here from EbikeSchool.com, and today I'm going to be showing you how to build your own 52 volt 5 amp hour Mighty Mini battery. And I'll be doing it using Samsung 25R cells and the new Vrusen V 2.0 battery building kit. Now both of these are available from Vrusen.com, but for the next 3 weeks you can pre-order the new V2 battery building kit on Kickstarter for a discount at a promotional rate, and I'll put a link to that in the description below. Now for today's battery, because this is going to be a low capacity battery, just 5 amp hours, we need to be using cells that have a high amp rating. So that's why I'm going with the Samsung 25R. You could also use potentially a 15 amp cell like Samsung 30Qs. In fact, that's the cell that Lunicycle uses in their Mighty Mini battery that inspired this pack that I'm going to build. Personally, I think 15 amps is a little bit low. Because this is only a 2P battery, that means you'll have 15 times 2, that'd be 30 amps. And really, you shouldn't be pushing the cells to their max limit anyways. So instead of 30 amps, I would really only be comfortable pushing a battery like that to 20, maybe 25 amps continuous. But if you're using 25R cells, which I am here, these are 20 amp cells, which I would like to push max about 15 amps or so to keep them healthy and happy and not heating up too much. So in this case, we're going to have a 52 volt 14S or 14 cells in series battery, 2P or 2 cells in parallel. And then it's going to be theoretically rated for 40 amps because each of these cells is a 20 amp cell, but realistically I would try not to push this past like 30 amps or so. If you're going to be building a battery that you want to have higher capacity or different voltage, you can follow the exact same steps I'm going to use here, and you would just use more cells in parallel for a higher capacity or more or less cells in series for a higher or lower voltage. Alright, so now let's look at starting to design the battery based on using these battery caps. I'll start by designing the orientation of my battery caps and cells, either on paper or on the computer. For a 14S 2P battery, the simplest method would be to do 14 rows of 2 cells in a straight line. However, I don't want my battery to be that long, so I'm just going to split my pack in the middle like this and fold it over so that my pack ends up being 7 cells long and 4 cells wide. The bottom of my battery will be the same thing, just with the polarities reversed. Then we can add the bus bars on top of the caps to make the series and parallel connections as necessary. Okay, so now it's time to make these same blocks in real life using my battery building caps.
I'll start by making each row of my battery caps first. I begin by aligning the caps so they're in the same orientation. I like to put the tails on the top right and the sockets on the bottom left. Then I slide the dovetails together to form rows. Here I'm making the first row on the top side of the battery, with 2 black caps followed by 2 orange caps. Then I'll continue the same process to make the rest of the rows on the top of my battery and the rows on the bottom of my battery. At this point, I have the top half and bottom half of my battery caps together, and I can start inserting cells. First, double check that all of your cells have the same or similar voltage within about 0.1 volts of each other. Also, to ensure the highest efficiency connection, you can also choose to hit the terminals of your cells with a light touch of 400 to 800 grit sandpaper, just to remove any surface corrosion, and also with a light swab of alcohol. Now I'll start by making the first row of my battery. I'll take the top and bottom of the first row and flip the bottom upside down. At this point, I'll want to make sure the tails and sockets are facing opposite directions on the top and bottom rows. Here you can see on the bottom row that the tails are facing to the left side of the screen and the sockets are facing to the right side of the screen, while on the top the orientation is opposite, with the tails facing to the right and the sockets facing to the left. This is how you want it. Next, I can start placing my cells in the bottom row, ensuring that the negative end of the cell goes into the black caps and the positive end of the cell goes into the orange caps. You can also put a drop of dielectric grease on the cell terminals before inserting them in to ensure the absolute highest efficiency over time. Now once all of your cells are in the bottom of the caps, you can place the top caps on and press them down using a block of wood or other hard, flat object. In previous versions of the kit before version 1.5, this step required clamps. However, we heard lots of feedback from people that said the caps just felt too tight, so we loosened the caps a bit, and now you can press them on using just your hand strength or body weight, no clamps needed. You can ensure that you have a good connection by measuring the voltage of your cells. If you can read the voltage of each cell, you're making contact. Now I'll continue making each row for my battery until I have all 7 rows completed. By the way, the compromise for loosening the caps a bit and making them easier to install is that the caps aren't quite as vibration resistant as they were before, since the caps are not quite as tight. This simply means that if you'll use your battery in a vibration-heavy environment, you'll need to add some type of reinforcement to the outside of the battery to keep the two sides of the battery caps held firmly together, but I'll cover this in more detail and show an example in a couple minutes. Now it's time to connect our rows together into a single pack. Because we ensured that the tails and sockets were oriented opposite to each other on the top and bottom of the rows, each successive row should have tails and sockets that match each other, meaning you can now slide each row into the next row. Sometimes they slide a bit easier than others, and sometimes they need some gentle persuasion. Just go slowly to make sure to align the dovetails to ensure that they slide together smoothly. You may also want to just go back and press over all of the caps with your block to make sure they have slid together all the way and that no rows are sticking up a bit. Now we can start adding our bus bars. I'll skip the parallel connection between the first two cells on -1 here because those will be completed with a wire connector when I add the BMS. I'll move on to the rest of the cells, following my bus bar diagram that I planned out before I started building the battery. I recommend using a 5.5mm nut driver and not a power driver or a drill with a socket attachment when you put the nuts on, because these nuts are small and you don't want to cross-thread them by driving them with too much power. Once I finish the top side of the battery, I'll flip the pack over so I can do the opposite side. Now this is where you have to be very careful when you place your bus bars and double check that you are following the wiring diagram that you planned out before you started building your pack. Since one side of the battery is already connected, placing a bus bar between the wrong cells on this side of the battery can create a short. Just go slowly and think about what you're doing. I also make a habit of lightly touching the bus bar to the threaded terminals as I place them down, instead of just dropping them straight onto the posts. This way, if I did accidentally place a wrong connection, it would just spark and make it pretty obvious that I had messed up. But you shouldn't have that issue if you just go slow and think about what you're doing, following the wiring diagram that you created. When you get to this point that has a series connection that is only one cell wide instead of two cells like all the other points on this pack, you want to double up your bus bars. So this way I'm putting two bus bars right in the middle here, and that will allow me to have a series connection that is still going over two bus bars, just like all the other connections, even though there's really only space for one bus bar wide. Now I'll just continue with the rest of my connections and finish up this side of the battery. Now I can add the BMS, which I already have charge and discharge connectors soldered to. I'll mount it to the side of my pack with hot glue. Then I'll start by connecting the B- wire from the BMS to a wire connector that will go to the -1 terminal of my battery. You can crimp these or solder them. I prefer to solder them because I'm not great at crimping. You can then repeat the same operation to the positive charge and discharge wires, which will connect the +14 terminal to the charge and discharge connectors. Then the B- wire and connector are placed on the -1 terminal, followed by the positive discharge and charge connector on the +14 terminal. Next, I'll connect the balance wires. I'll start with the -1 wire, which is the only black balance wire on this BMS. It connects to the -1 terminal. I like to put these under the bus bars, but you can also add ring terminals or any other way of connecting these onto that threaded post. From there, each wire connects to the next positive terminal, starting with +1 and going all the way up to +14. I also like to add a bit of hot glue at the point where each balance wire meets the bus bar to reduce the chance of wire fatigue and the balance wire breaking off in the future. Then I add a bit of non-conductive capped-on tape to hold the wires down to the sides of the battery. Now, like I mentioned earlier, since I'll be using this on an e-bike where there will be a lot of vibration, I need to add something to reinforce the caps and ensure that they don't vibrate off the ends of the cells. I'll add sandwich plates, which are rigid plates on either side of the pack. I cut these out of hard plastic, but you can use wood or metal or anything rigid really. Then I'll use cable ties to hold these on. If you have a really wide pack, like more than 6 or 7 cells, then you want to make sure your sandwich plates are extra rigid. On the other hand, a narrow pack, like 2 or 3 cells wide, can probably get away without sandwich plates at all and just using zip ties or a heat shrink to keep the caps held firmly on the cells.
Okay, so now I have my battery assembled, my sandwich plates are on, and we're ready to go test this battery. Alright, now I've got my battery that we built, I've got my electric bicycle. Let's connect the two and give this thing a test. Here goes nothing. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you found that video helpful. If you want to build your own battery like this, remember you can get all the parts that I used on Vruzen.com. But for the next 3 weeks, you can pre-order the new V2 high-power battery building kit on Kickstarter for a discounted price. And I'll put that link in the description below as well. And last but not least, time to announce the winner of last week's giveaway. And the winner is...
Vipin.
So congratulations. Let me know which one of my books you'd like and where to send it. And anyone else wants to win one of my books, either DIY lithium batteries, so you can learn to build batteries like this, DIY solar power, or the ultimate do-it-yourself e-bike guide, all you have to do to enter is put a comment below this video here on YouTube. All right, thanks for watching, guys. See you next week.